Good morning, everybody. It is now Tuesday morning. As such, happy Tuesday, everybody. So, nothing really. Well, actually, there is one bit of housekeeping that I do really need to address, and I can't believe. Yes, between Easter and Endgame, there actually is another thing going on this week that I can't believe it. I can't believe it slipped my mind that I didn't talk about that, and that is the NFL draft. Yep. The NFL draft is actually this week, and as a football player, as a football fan, I'm thinking, what? Why didn't you forget that? Why didn't you forget that? Well, again, to be perfectly honest, Easter is a big holiday for me, and the fact that Avengers Endgame is literally within, 72 hours, you get distracted a little bit. Don't worry. Oh, actually, less than 72 hours. It's actually going to be more like 12, like 60 hours, but that's 16 and change. Well, that's not here or there. I'm trying to do the math in my head for how long until I see Avengers Endgame. Which, again, I'm going to be seeing the 7 o'clock showing on Thursday night. I guess... the movie's going to be 3 hours long, but at least I got my ticket and I took care of everything, so I'll take that with a grain of salt. Just let me take care of one quick thing right here. Hold on. There we go. With that said, we do have the NFL draft this week. And the only real downside to it is that the first night of the draft really will coincide with the beginning of Endgame. Well, yeah, the Avengers Endgame. So, while I am a little worried that I am going to be missing some of the draft, at the same time, my Cowboys don't have a first-round pick thanks to the Amari Cooper trade. So, personally, I can live with, not seeing it the night before. So, if you are a football fan in any capacity, you're thinking, who's going to be taking who in the draft? Who's going to pick who? Who's going to pick what or whatever? Well, I am no football expert by any stretch of the imagination. If I was, then maybe I'd have a shot on shows like Good Morning Football or Undisputed or something like that. But I'm not. I really am just, for lack of a better word, your typical average, ordinary guy. And I'm okay with that. But it does beg the question, who do I want to see go to where? Who do I want to see get taken in the draft? Who do I want to see go where? Stuff like that. So, even though, again, I'm not really much of an expert, there are some things I do know. And I definitely believe that, as long as a whole bunch of people online who are bigger experts than me, or maybe even not, I don't know, that are making these sorts of calls, I could probably throw, my 2 cents in there as well. There's not much harm in that. Plus, if anything, I'm probably going to be saying what everybody else is saying. So, with that in mind, let's get to, the first couple of picks in the draft. First and foremost, you have the Arizona Cardinals. Now, this will easily be the biggest story that the draft has ever had. That for this year, Because a year ago, they drafted Josh Rosen, and even though I have seen Josh Rosen play some good games, including one where he beat Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, he really didn't do much to impress anyone. In fact, the Cardinals ended up being so bad that not only are they the first pick of the draft, but they fired their coach of only 1 season. Yeah, normally you have a coach for at least 2 seasons, but no, after 1 season, gone. So now the Arizona Cardinals have hired coach Cliff Kingsbury. And for many years, there was one player that Cliff Kingsbury wanted to draft back when he was a coach at Texas Tech. A quarterback by the name of Kyler Murray. Now, Kyler Murray has a bit of a story to him. That does actually coincide with the Cliff Kingsbury thing. For starters, because he first got drafted at Texas Tech only to find out that Cliff Kingsbury was fired. So now he goes to Oklahoma, where he was the backup to Oklahoma quarterback and then Heisman Trophy winner Baker Mayfield. Now, if anyone's been paying attention to football for the last year, Baker Mayfield's a bit of a hot commodity, as he nearly single-handedly turned the Browns around as an organization. Baker Mayfield is now the face of that organization, and because of the Odell Beckham Jr. trade and having people like Jarvis Landry and Myles Garrett, the Browns are going to be must-watch football this year. They've got my attention, at least. So, after Baker Mayfield graduates, it's Kyler Murray's turn. And he took off like a rocket in Oklahoma, being the first time anywhere that a college has produced not one, but 2 Heisman Trophy winners back-to-back. Oh yes, Kyler Murray won the Heisman. But the one thing about Kyler Murray that does have some people taken aback is because Kyler Murray is not very tall. He measures about 5'10" and 3/4 of an inch. Now, a short QB really isn't anything new. I mean, Drew Brees isn't very tall. Russell Wilson isn't very tall. Even Baker Mayfield, who I just mentioned, he's not very tall either. Keeping that in mind, Kyler Murray is easily the shortest of all the quarterbacks I just mentioned. But the one thing he definitely does have going for him is he can move. He can not only fire from the pocket, but he can clearly outrun the blitz. Seriously, I think if you see him run, it's like watching Sonic the Hedgehog. It's awesome. So, because now Cliff Kingsbury is in Arizona, and Kyler Murray is gone into the draft, people are suspecting that Arizona is going to take Kyler Murray. I think they should. This is the match made in heaven. You know, you need a good coach, a good QB, and a good group of guys on both sides of the ball that will allow you to succeed. I think that if the Arizona Cardinals pick Kyler Murray, it could probably be the best pick they do. Well, outside of any other picks that they might do. I mean, again, when it comes to making picks in the draft, we do focus too heavily on are they going to be good or not, or I mean, we don't even take into account whether or not they're going to get injured. I mean, just take a look at Carson Wentz. The Philadelphia Eagles moved heaven and earth to get him in the draft, and during his second year, as we all know, and for me, unfortunately, I know, the Eagles won the Super Bowl, but Carson Wentz got injured. And a year later, he gets injured again. Now, Carson Wentz is by no means a bust. Not even remotely. I like Carson Wentz. I do. Again, there's actually several people on the Eagles I do like. I just hate the organization as a whole. So, with that in mind, there are so many varying factors when it comes to picking anyone in the draft that no one is ever going to know if they're going to be a bust or not. If anything, we're so heavily fixated on who's able to do what that we lose sight of things that, you know, happen naturally. I mean, maybe it turns out that the athlete is better than we thought he was going to be. Or maybe he doesn't quite live up to what the expectations are. Or maybe injury will, take a hold. Personally, I like to be very open about who any teams pick. Although I do get excited when my Cowboys make a pick. Although I do have to say one thing about the draft last year. Everybody was giving Leighton Vander Esch a lot of flack because it was a pick that no one was expecting. He was completely out of the norm. A lot of people were taking Vander Esch off of their draft boards. I was personally open to it the entire time. I thought Leighton Vander Esch would be fine. And I was right. Although it still bothers me that he didn't get... forget not getting Rookie of the Year, or Defensive Rookie of the Year. He wasn't even on the ballot. I can take, not getting Defensive Rookie of the Year. That's fine. But Vander Esch had a better year than not being on the ballot. Especially when he works in... maybe that's probably it. Shannon Sharp said this the day after the Cowboys beat the Saints. His exact words were, and I quote, "I feel very comfortable saying this, Skip. The tackling Dutchman, Vander Esch, and Jalen Smith are the two best linebackers in all of football when working in tandem." And I think that's it. Now, working in tandem, they are the best. And it's a dangerous combination that I personally do not want to be in front of. But people are wondering what it would be like if they were just by themselves. Personally, I don't want to think that because as long as they're together, the Cowboys' defense is going to be awesome. So, yeah. I think they're more worried about how a person does individually rather than working in tandem with someone. And maybe that's why Vander Esch didn't get it. I'm still upset he wasn't on the ballot, but if that's the reason, I can at least see it. And well, I was supposed to talk about more picks of the draft. More notable draft picks that, I noticed are, Nick Bosa from the Ohio State University, he has my first name, so he can't be that bad. And, he went to Ohio State. I like Ohio State. Ohio State's awesome. That's where Zeke Elliott's from. And, San Francisco might pick him up, so that'd be a good pick. Unfortunately, when it comes to quarterbacks in this draft class, there aren't very many good ones. Kyler Murray's easily the best. No question about it. The Giants and the Raiders are the only ones who could take a quarterback. And so, my only fear is, I really hope that the Cardinals do take Kyler Murray, because I don't want Kyler Murray to go to Oakland. John Gruden's really not that good of a QB coach. He really isn't. There's no way Kyler Murray's going to thrive there. So, my prediction is, if the Raiders do pick a quarterback, I say why not go with Dwayne Haskins. And then the Giants could take Daniel Jones out of Duke University, because fun fact, Daniel Jones was, mentored by the same guy who mentored the Manning brothers. So, that would actually be a decent fit. At least I think so. Again, there are so many various intricacies about the draft that I could have an entire day just recording and talking about this stuff, and I still don't think I'd get to enough. So, with that in mind, there are some things to think about. I think maybe, this draft is going to be very interesting to say the least. And in the end, all I can say is my Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl next year, and that's all there is to it. Yeah! Go Cowboys! Woo! Okay, I'm done. So, like, favorite, share, and hit that subscribe button. I could really use the support on YouTube. Follow me on the social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr. As always, I'm very humbled I made this video for all of you guys to watch and enjoy for today. I'm very hopeful that we have a wonderful, wonderful Tuesday. And remember, if you guys don't want to talk or chat, I'm always going to be here to lend an ear, and I'll always have your back. Take care, and make good choices.